All right, let's talk about something you use every single day but have probably never really seen. I'm talking about the bustling, incredibly complex city that's living right inside your computer.
I mean, have you ever really thought about it? You click an icon. Who tells the computer what to do next? You save a file. Who finds a little spot for it to live? It's not magic, right? Nope. There's this powerful, invisible manager running the whole show.
So, let's take a tour of this digital city. Here's our map for today. We're going to meet the invisible city planner, see how it handles the population, zones the land, runs the library, and of course, guards the city gates. So, what is this invisible force I'm talking about? Well, it's your computer's operating system. You probably know it as the OS. Okay, so the best way to think about the OS is, well, it's like the entire city government all rolled into one. It's the mayor, the city planner, the police force, you name it. Its one big job is to make sure the whole city runs without a hitch, managing every single resource from the huge skyscrapers all the way down to the tiniest little public parks. So every city has its citizens, right? In our digital city, every single program you run, your web browser, Spotify, that game you play, think of each one as a citizen. And you guessed it, the OS is in charge of managing every last one of them.
So, when you click an app icon, what you're really doing is asking for a new citizen to be allowed into the city. The OS, our mayor, approves the request, gives that new citizen all the resources it needs to live and work, memory, CPU time, and then it keeps a little file on it. This is called a process control block, and it's basically how the OS keeps tabs on what everyone's doing.
And let me tell you, the OS is an absolute master at juggling all these citizens. At any given second, some are running, they're actively working. Others are ready, just lined up and waiting for their turn to use the processor. And then you have some that are blocked. Maybe they're waiting for you to type something or for a file to download. This crazy, super fast shuffling act, that's the secret sauce behind multitasking.
Now, you can't have a city without land, and our digital one is no exception. In this case, the land is your computer's RAM, its memory, and the OS, it's the master city planner in charge of zoning all of this prime digital real estate.
And to keep the peace and stop things from getting messy, the OS gives every single program its own protected plot of land. This is so important because it stops one misbehaving app from spilling over and crashing its neighbors. It's what keeps the entire city from turning into total chaos.
But zoning isn't always perfect. It can lead to some wasted space. You can get something called internal fragmentation. Picture a huge house, but it has a tiny, oddly shaped room inside that's just useless. Or you can get external fragmentation. Think of those small, unusable little plots of land stuck between big buildings. Luckily, the OS has some really clever tricks up its sleeve to clean up this mess and keep the city running efficiently.
And maybe one of the coolest tricks the OS can pull off is something called virtual memory. It's incredible. It basically gives every citizen, every program, a map to a giant mansion, even if they're only living in a tiny apartment. It makes every program think it has tons and tons of space, even when the physical land is limited. The OS is like a master magician here, swapping things around in the background to make the illusion work perfectly.
So all these citizens are busy, right? They're creating stuff, documents, photos, music. So where does all that stuff go? Well, it goes into the city's massive public library, which is really just your hard drive. And who runs this library? You guessed it. The OS is our head librarian.
And this OS librarian is, let's say, very organized. It has a strict set of rules. For every book or file, it knows all the attributes, the title, the author, the date it was published. It handles all the operations like checking a book out, returning it, or making a copy. And most importantly, it maintains the whole directory structure. That's the MasterCard catalog system that tells you exactly where to find anything you're looking for. And hey, just like real libraries have different ways of organizing their books, different operating systems use different file systems. You might have heard of some. An older one like that? That's kind of like a simple set of index cards for a small town library. But modern systems like NTFS or X4, whoa, those are like advanced, lightning-fast digital catalogs, complete with a security desk and special collections. Okay, so a city can be perfectly organized, but if it's not safe, what's the point? And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most critical job of the OS. It's the city's police force and its border patrol, all in one.
So its security mission is really twofold. First, it has to protect the citizens from each other, right? You don't want your music player suddenly messing with your banking app. And second, it has to defend the entire city from outside threats, all the viruses and malware that are constantly trying to sneak past the gates.
And to get this done, the OS has a whole defense system. Think about it this way. Authentication is you showing your ID card to get into a building. That's your password. Access control is like having the right key for a specific room. Programs can't just wander wherever they want. Encryption is basically sending messages in a secret code. And of course, you've got malware defense. Those are the security patrols always on the lookout for trouble.
So next time you power up your computer or unlock your phone, just take a second to remember what's going on. Remember that invisible city planner, that super efficient librarian, and that vigilant police chief, all working tirelessly behind the scenes. Your OS isn't just a piece of software. It's the living, breathing infrastructure of your entire digital world.
And that kind of leaves us with a big question to chew on, doesn't it? Our digital cities aren't just stuck on our laptops anymore. They're expanding out into the cloud, connecting with countless others. So as our cities grow into these massive global metropolises, what will the city planners of tomorrow even look like? How will the OS evolve to handle that? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for taking this tour with me.